diving into the world of press and stationery specialized seller today.
Oh, okay.
You know, when I first saw this one,
Yeah.
I pictured dusty old shops
Mm-hmm.
with stacks of newspapers.
Yeah.
Not exactly what you'd call a dream job in 2024, right?
It does sound a bit quaint, doesn't it?
Right.
But the sources you shared
Yep.
reveal a surprising amount of depth
Right.
and possibility. It's less about hawking newspapers and more about being a source of knowledge
Okay.
and a guide for customers.
Okay, so less dusty shop, more trusted advisor.
Right.
I'm seeing the phrase specialized shops
Yeah.
pop up a lot.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about your average convenience store here.
Right.
The sources highlight a range of workplaces.
Okay.
From independent bookstores with those incredible stationery sections
Right.
to niche shops specializing in, say, high-end calligraphy pens
Right.
or eco-friendly office supplies.
So there's room for real niche expertise.
Right.
But in the age of Amazon,
Yeah.
are these specialized shops even surviving?
That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The career outlook is described as stable,
Okay.
which suggests there's still a demand
Okay.
for that in-person specialized experience.
Right.
The guide even uses the word expertise.
Right.
Apparently, there's a lot more to this
Yeah.
than knowing where the Post-it notes are kept.
All right, now you've got me really intrigued.
Great.
What kind of expertise are we talking about?
The sources dive into a whole set of skills.
Yep.
Persuasion, active listening,
Mm-hmm.
even negotiation.
Okay.
Imagine you're not just ringing up a sale.
Right.
You're helping a customer navigate
Mm-hmm.
a wall of calligraphy pens,
Okay.
understanding their needs,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even putting together a bulk discount
Right.
for their calligraphy club.
So it's about building rapport,
Yes,
reading the customer,
Mhm.
maybe even a little bit of salesmanship
Yeah.
thrown in.
exactly. And
Alright.
as you progress,
Yeah.
you might find yourself managing inventory,
Yeah.
training new staff,
Mm-hmm.
even shaping the shop's sales strategies.
Wait, there's a career ladder here.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me more about this progression from paper clips to, what, regional
I
management?
know, right? It's fascinating.
Yeah.
The sources outline a path that goes from entry level
Mhm.
all the way up to regional manager.
Wow.
They even include
Yeah.
example profiles of people
Uh-huh.
at different stages in their careers.
Right.
It's really insightful.
Okay, now I'm picturing someone
Yeah.
starting as a junior seller,
Right.
maybe straight out of high school,
Mhm.
and then working their way up.
That's exactly what the guide suggests.
Okay.
While there aren't specific educational requirements to get started,
Right.
experience is key.
Mm-hmm.
That entry-level role
Wait.
is all about learning the ropes,
Yeah.
customer service,
Mm-hmm.
product knowledge,
Mm.
handling transactions.
Right.
It's the foundation
Okay.
for everything that comes after.
Laying the groundwork,
Yeah.
getting those paper cuts,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Right.
What's the next rung on this ladder?
Once you've proven yourself,
Right.
you might become a junior seller.
Okay.
The guide highlights a profile
Mm-hmm.
of a junior seller
Okay.
who had a real knack
Okay.
for organizing
Mhm.
eye-catching promotional displays and
Mhm.
upselling.
Okay.
Apparently, he increased sales
Mhm.
of high-end stationery sets
Right.
by 20%
Wow.
just by rearranging the display
Mhm.
and suggesting add-on items.
That's impressive. It sounds like this role is where you really start to hone your salesmanship
Right.
and understand how to present products effectively.
Yes.
What happens if you excel as a junior seller?
So
Do you move on to become a senior seller?
you got it. And this is where the role starts to incorporate leadership skills.
Okay.
Remember those skills we talked about?
Sure.
Persuasion, active listening, negotiation.
Right.
As a senior seller, you're not just using those with customers.
Yeah.
You're using them with your team as well.
So it becomes less about individual sales and more about managing people,
Right.
delegating tasks,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the guide emphasizes that a senior seller
Okay.
might be responsible for implementing sales strategies, conducting market research,
Right.
even mentoring newer staff members.
Okay.
They're essentially the shop manager's
Right.
hand person.
Wow. From handling individual customer interactions
Right.
to overseeing staff and implementing strategies,
Yeah.
that's a pretty significant jump.
It is.
I'm guessing strong leadership
Yes,
and communication skills are crucial at this level.
absolutely.
Okay.
And the guide provides an example of a senior seller
Okay.
who actually had a bachelor's degree
Yeah.
in business administration,
Right.
and a certification in sales management.
So a commitment to professional development
Yeah.
is definitely something that can set you apart in this field.
It is.
Okay, so we've got junior seller, senior seller. What comes next?
Well, the next logical step
Okay.
is stepping into the role of assistant manager, which is essentially the bridge between the shop floor and the managerial side of things.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're assisting the shop manager with daily operations.
Right.
Maybe even dealing with escalated customer issues or brainstorming new marketing campaigns.
You're spot on.
Okay.
The guide stresses that an assistant manager
Yeah.
needs to be a strategic thinker.
Fuck that.
Someone who can see the big picture and understand how their actions impact the overall success of the shop.
Okay. So we're talking about someone who's comfortable analyzing sales figures, managing budgets, that sort of thing?
Exactly. And that takes us to the pinnacle of the in-store career path, the coveted shop manager position.
Okay.
This is where years of experience, honed skills,
And a deep understanding of the business culminate.
the conductor of the orchestra, so to speak.
Right.
Before we delve into the intricacies of being a shop manager, I'm curious, what kind of salary can someone realistically expect at this level? We've talked about the career ladder, but what about the financial incentives? Is this a career path that can lead to, say, a six-figure income?
The age-old question.
Right.
The guide actually mentions potential for high earnings, but also uses the phrase income fluctuations.
Okay.
It seems there's a bit of a trade-off.
So maybe not a guaranteed path to riches, but the potential is there for the right person.
Yeah. With the right drive and skills.
Exactly.
What contributes to those income fluctuations? Is it seasonal?
It could be.
Commission-based?
Those are great questions. And the guide does offer some clues.
Okay.
It seems like location plays a big role.
Okay.
A specialized stationery shop in a bustling metropolitan area is likely to generate more revenue than a similar shop in a smaller town.
Makes sense. Higher foot traffic, potentially more affluent customers.
Precisely.
Okay.
And the guide also highlights the importance of specialization.
Okay.
Remember those niche shops we talked about?
Yeah.
The calligraphy store, the eco-friendly office supplier.
Right.
They're tapping into specific markets that are often willing to spend a bit more for expertise and unique products.
So becoming a go-to expert in a particular niche within the press and stationery world could be a path to higher earning potential.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What other factors might influence income in this field? Are we talking about a straight salary, or are there opportunities for bonuses, commissions, that sort of thing?
The guide doesn't go into a ton of detail, but it does suggest that performance-based bonuses are common, especially in sales-driven roles like junior and senior seller.
Okay.
So exceeding sales targets, upselling effectively.
Those efforts can definitely translate into a larger paycheck.
Okay, so there's definitely an element of entrepreneurial spirit required here.
Yes.
You've got to be willing to hustle a bit, stay ahead of the trends, and maybe even become a bit of an expert in your own right. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's circle back to that shop manager position. What does the guide say about the skills and experience needed to reach that top rung on the ladder?
You're right on the mark about that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
It's definitely a theme throughout the guide, even at the shop manager level.
So what does the path to shop manager look like? What are those key stepping stones? Well, the guide lays out a pretty clear progression, starting with, you guessed it, entry level. This is where you're learning the basics, customer service, product knowledge, handling transactions. Think of it as building a solid foundation.
Got it. No fancy degree required, just a willingness to learn and a passion for, well, press and stationery.
Exactly. And a good dose of patience. Because the guide suggests that it can take several years of experience to climb that ladder to shop manager.
Okay. So you've put in the time. You've mastered the shop floor. What's next?
The next step up is junior seller. And this is where you can really start to shine. The guide highlights the story of a junior seller who had a real knack for visual merchandising. She transformed the shop's window display into this eye-catching themed experience, and her sales skyrocketed.
Wow.
It's a great example of how creativity and initiative can make a real impact.
That's a great point. Yeah. It's not just about knowing the products.
Right.
It's about knowing how to present them, how to tell a story, to create an experience for the customer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the guide emphasizes that junior sellers are often responsible for things like
organizing promotional displays.
Right.
Coming up with creative upselling techniques. They're really starting to flex those entrepreneurial muscles.
So you're learning the ropes.
Right.
You're starting to make your mark.
Right.
What's the next step up from junior seller?
Yeah.
Is it senior seller?
You got it.
Okay.
And this is where the leadership aspect really kicks in. Remember, we're aiming for that shop manager position.
Right.
And the senior seller role is like the training ground for leadership.
Okay.
The guide emphasizes responsibilities like staff supervision, training new hires, maybe even conducting performance reviews.
So you're not just managing inventory and sales.
You're managing people too.
Yes.
That's a pretty big shift in responsibility.
It is.
Right.
And it's a crucial step on the path to becoming shop manager. Okay. The guide even mentions that some senior sellers choose to pursue additional education or certifications in areas like retail management or leadership to really hone those skills.
Makes sense. It's about demonstrating that you have the knowledge and expertise to lead a team effectively. So you've mastered the shop floor. Yeah. You're leading a team. Right. You might even have some additional qualifications under your belt. What's next?
Well, from here, you might find yourself stepping into the role
of assistant manager.
Okay.
Think of it as the right hand to the shop manager. Okay. You're involved in more strategic decisions. You're tackling more complex customer issues. You're really getting a taste of what it takes to run the entire shop.
So it's about learning to see the bigger picture.
Yes.
Understanding the financial side of things, maybe even contributing to marketing campaigns and inventory management.
Exactly.
Okay.
The guide stresses the importance of having a strategic mindset in this position.
Okay.
It's about anticipating challenges, coming up with creative solutions, and always being a few steps ahead. It sounds like the assistant manager is really the one who keeps the shop running smoothly behind the scenes, making sure everything is in place for the shop manager to, well, manage.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the shop manager role itself.
Right.
This is where years of experience, a deep understanding of the business, and exceptional leadership skills all come together.
At the top of the mountain.
Right.
So let's talk about the shop manager.
Okay.
What does the guide say about the day-to-day realities of this role?
Well, it's certainly a demanding job.
Okay.
The guide paints a picture of someone who is responsible for every aspect of the shop's operation. We're talking about setting sales targets, managing budgets, hiring and training staff, overseeing inventory, ensuring customer satisfaction.
Right.
It's a lot to juggle.
It sounds like it.
It is.
And I imagine that in a specialized shop, there's an even greater need to stay ahead of the trends, to really understand the niche market you're serving.
Absolutely. And that's where those specialized skills and that passion for press and stationery really come into play. Okay. The guide highlights the story of a shop manager who was completely dedicated to sourcing the most unique, high-quality calligraphy supplies.
Right.
She traveled to international trade shows. Okay. She built relationships with artisans around the world. And her shop became known as the go-to destination for calligraphy enthusiasts in her city.
That's a great example of how passion and expertise can really set a shop apart.
Right.
It's about creating a destination, a community even, around your shared love of, in this case, calligraphy.
Exactly. Okay. And that kind of dedication often translates into loyal customers and, of course, increased sales.
So we've talked about the career ladder, the skills required, the potential for income growth.
Right.
But I'm curious, what does the guide say about the overall job outlook for press and stationery specialized sellers? Is this a career path with staying power in our increasingly digital world?
That's a great question, and one that I know is on a lot of people's minds these days.
Right.
The guide actually addresses this directly, and I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by what I read.
Okay. You've got me on the edge of my seat here.
Okay.
What does the guide say?
Well, it acknowledges that the rise of online retailers and digital communication has definitely had an impact on the press and stationery industry.
Right.
But here's the interesting part.
Okay.
The guide argues that this shift has actually created new opportunities for specialized sellers.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Okay. How so? The guide suggests that as the world becomes increasingly digital, people are craving tangible experiences, those moments of connection that you can really get in person.
Okay.
Think about it. The feeling of running your fingers over a beautifully crafted notebook, the smell of freshly printed paper, the personalized advice you get from a knowledgeable seller. You can't replicate those things online.
That's a really good point. There's a certain charm and nostalgia associated with press and stationery.
Right.
A sense of history and tradition that people seem to be gravitating towards.
Exactly. And that's where the specialized aspect becomes so important.
Right.
The guide highlights the fact that customers are increasingly willing to seek out experts, those passionate individuals who can guide them towards the perfect fountain pen, the ideal stationery set, or the most exquisite calligraphy supplies. They're not just buying a product. They're buying an experience, a piece of that tangible world that's becoming increasingly rare.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It's about tapping into that desire for authenticity and connection, for things that are well-made and unique.
Exactly.
So the guide seems to suggest that while the industry is evolving, there's still a place for those passionate individuals who are willing to adapt and embrace the changing landscape.
Absolutely. In fact, the guide goes even further, suggesting that this new landscape might actually be creating a resurgence of interest in press and stationery.
A resurgence.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Well, it seems like the younger generations, those who grew up in a digital world,
are developing a newfound appreciation for the tactile experience of putting pen to paper.
Interesting.
They're drawn to the artistry of calligraphy, the craftsmanship of a fine writing instrument, the simple pleasure of sending a handwritten note.
That's fascinating.
It is.
So it's like a full circle moment.
Right.
The digital age is, in a way, reigniting an appreciation for the analog world.
Precisely.
Right.
And this trend is creating new opportunities for press and stationery specialized sellers who are willing to embrace innovation and cater to the evolving needs of their customers.
So maybe instead of seeing the digital world as a threat,
it's more about seeing it as an opportunity to connect with customers in new and innovative ways.
Exactly.
Okay.
The guide even mentions how some specialized shops are using social media to showcase their products, host online workshops, and build a community around their brand. They're blending the digital and the physical to create a more engaging and immersive experience for their customers.
That's a really smart strategy.
It is.
So it's not about abandoning tradition.
Right.
It's about finding ways to honor that tradition.
Right.
While also embracing new technologies and trends.
You've got it.
Okay.
And that brings us back to that key word, specialized.
Right.
In this evolving landscape.
Yeah.
It's more important than ever
Right.
for press and stationery sellers to carve out their niche, to become known for their expertise in a particular area, whether it's calligraphy, eco-friendly stationery, vintage writing instruments, or something else entirely.
It's about becoming the go-to expert, the trusted advisor that customers seek out for their unique needs.
Exactly. And that's a powerful position to be in.
Right.
It's about building relationships, fostering a sense of community, and creating an experience that goes beyond the transaction.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about what career path, the skills, the job outlook, but we haven't really delved into the why. Why would someone choose this career path in 2024?
Yeah.
What is it about the world of press and stationery that's so alluring?
That's a great question, and one that I think speaks to the heart of this deep dive.
Right.
I think for many, it's about finding beauty and meaning in the everyday.
Okay.
It's about preserving a craft, a tradition, a way of communicating that's becoming increasingly rare.
Okay.
It's about connecting with people on a personal level, helping them find the perfect tool to express their creativity, to share their stories, to simply put their thoughts on paper.
It's about fostering a sense of mindfulness, of slowing down in a fast-paced world.
Yes.
It's about appreciating the tactile, the tangible, the things that endure in the digital age.
Beautifully put.
Right.
You know, there's something incredibly satisfying about helping someone find the perfect notebook, the ideal pen, the stationery set that sparks their imagination. It's about more than just making a sale. It's about facilitating creativity, connection, and self-expression.
I love that. And, you know, in a world that's becoming increasingly automated, there's something to be said for a career that celebrates the human touch, the artistry of craftsmanship, the power of personal connection.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this career path, all its intricacies and nuances, so fascinating to explore.
Well said.
Thank you.
Now, speaking of exploring, the guide you shared mentions a platform called RoleCatcher. What's that all about? RoleCatcher, it sounds kind of like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right.
What does a platform like that have to do with the world of press and stationery?
It seems like a bit of a juxtaposition at first, doesn't it? But the guide suggests that even traditional fields like this are being impacted by technology. And RoleCatcher is a prime example of how it's described as a platform that uses AI to help people tailor their CVs, prepare for interviews, and basically put their best foot forward in the job market.
AI-powered CV tailoring for a press and stationery career.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's pretty wild.
I'm picturing an algorithm analyzing my love for fountain pens and crafting the perfect resume bullet points.
It's pretty close to that.
Really?
The guide specifically mentions RoleCatcher's CV resume builder, which claims to use AI to analyze your skills and experience and match them to relevant keywords and phrases that employers are looking for. They even have a feature that analyzes job descriptions and suggests ways to optimize your CV for that specific role.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Especially in a competitive job market.
Yeah.
Having that extra edge could really make a difference.
You could.
What else does the guide say about RoleCatcher?
They also highlight RoleCatcher's interview prep tools. Which are apparently quite impressive. Imagine having access to a database of thousands for potential interview questions, all tailored to specific industries and job titles.
Let's talk about being prepared. So you could practice answering questions specific to, say, a senior seller role in a specialized calligraphy shop.
Exactly. The guide even mentions that RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your responses and provide feedback on your delivery, your tone, even your body language.
Wow.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Wow, technology is really changing the game.
It is.
So even though we're talking about a career path that's steeped in tradition, it's clear that there's a real embrace of innovation and technology within the field.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's something I found really refreshing about the guide. And it doesn't shy away from the challenges facing the industry, but it also highlights the ways in which press and stationery specialized sellers are adapting, evolving, and even thriving in this new landscape.
It's about finding that balance between honoring the craft, the history, the tangible beauty of press and stationery, while also embracing the tools and technologies that can help you connect with customers, grow your business, and ultimately share your passion with the world.
You couldn't have said it better myself. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most unexpected combinations like AI and calligraphy can lead to the most interesting and rewarding opportunities.
Well said.
Thank you.
I have to say, I started this deep dive thinking press and stationery. How quaint. But now I'm seeing the industry in a whole new light. It's a world of hidden complexities, fascinating specializations, and passionate individuals who are dedicated to preserving a craft and creating meaningful experiences for their customers.
It's a great reminder that every career path has its hidden depth, and that sometimes the most traditional sounding roles can be the most surprising and fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So for anyone out there who's ever felt drawn to the allure of a beautifully crafted notebook, a perfectly weighted fountain pen, or the simple pleasure of putting pen to paper, maybe the world of press and stationery is calling your name.
It could be.
You never know what hidden talents and passions you might discover.
And who knows, maybe AI will even help you land your dream job in the process.
Now, that's a thought.
Right.
This has been a truly fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Thanks for joining me on this journey into the
Thank you.
Surprisingly dynamic world of press and stationery. Until next time.